Hello, Jerry.
Hello, Sunday. How are you?
Good. And you?
Good.
Glad you could join us, huh?
Well, thank you for having me.
So we're about to start in the next 1 minute, just waiting for Edwin from Uganda, and then we should start.
Sounds good.
Hi, Sandy. Okay, hi, Sandy. Hello. Hi, Sandy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you can, good evening, yes. I hope everyone can hear me. Good morning to James. Edwin, good evening. We'll do our presentation today. And we are glad that you've joined us. We'll be talking about law firm business continuity in the digital era and COVID-19. We felt like it is best to do this because over the couple of months, like 2 or 3, we sort of anticipated of what was going to happen, but then we did not take enough measures, but we did our bit in terms of making sure that we survive now, and looking over what is going to happen in the near future. We thought it best that we also share our experience and see what we can learn from Edwin in Uganda, who are in lockdown, and also see what we can get from James as well, who is in Canada. So each one of us, the presenters, will have 10 to maximum 15 minutes, and we'll take you through our experience of the management of the firm, the running of the firm, and business in whole. So to kick off, just to start, I will take you through of we start with what we need to look at in order to assess the situation that is prevailing now. So from our assessment, what we looked at the state of the economy. We looked at the unemployment rate. We looked at what shelters are there in place in terms of the pandemic. Then we looked at the health of the current targeted markets. How are they buying our services? How are clients returning our calls? How our business are closing and whatnot? And then we looked at the emerging new markets and whether there are opportunities that we can offer and whatnot, as well as our forecast in terms of the recovery date, and if we can meet that in terms of when workers return to office and business open up like fully, because as of now Tanzania have not yet closed, and I hope we are not going to, but then business has slowed down. So we were in anticipation of what would happen just in case, and see if we can share that. So we've also looked at internal assessments of our operations, how much we have, worst case scenario, what we could do, if there are any projects in the making, our payroll. We looked at sources of funds, let's say in terms of any lockdown, worst case scenario, what can we do? Or let's say after the COVID pandemic, if there is no lockdown, what could we do? So now I'll take you through what of kind of preparedness we did as ABC prior to the outbreak. So we did not anticipate the outbreak as such, but as of 2 years back, we started working on a software. We had a company that is local, and they made it for us, and they tried to look at various softwares, and they made a comparison of which they felt was best fit for us. So we did that, and we call it Integ ABC. The software we did is what is helping us run through now, but it's cloud-based. It's cloud-based. It is on the website, and it is for our team members and for our clients to log in. So let's say if we have, if we have a new matter, we can easily send, once we have included a new client, we've included a new client in our system, the client would be able to log in and see the progress of the firm, the progress of the work that was assigned, who it was assigned to, and how it is going, and he can also be able to see his billing. So apart from that, we had done pCloud just before, about 2 months ago. What we did before Tanzania was actually declaring that we have people with COVID. We had set up an account online whereby we had put most of our stuff, most of our client documents that we can easily access from home. So what are we, or what you should do during this pandemic? We thought it best that we first start with your employees. It's best to take care of your employees. That is what we did, actually. It was the first thing that we did. We felt that as a management, it's best to make sure that all our employees are well taken care of. In case of anything, they are well, they have sanitizers, they have antibacterial products, and as well as try to disseminate as much using WhatsApp group to see on what the government has said and how we can link that and communicate in terms of us saving our clients who are not able to meet that because we are half closed. Like we could meet a few, but then most we couldn't, so as we limit the number of people that we interact in a day-to-day basis. But you can, if you go online, if you go to our website, you can see the link to the software. It's there, the IntelliG ABC. You just click on it, or just go to ABC or at the top. You will see among the icons. You just click on that, and then you see you'll be able to see the link, the login for client, and the log for staff. So it's one of those buttons at the top. So you just see just for your view. But then for someone to access it, to be our staff member or our clients. So the cloud, we had put everything in place in terms of our articles, because we normally do articles every Saturday, and then now we those post on newspapers, and then we have online platforms that we send to, and stuff like that, and some we send to our clients. But then we'll be doing Zoom meetings. Zoom meetings we do every morning because part of what we used to do in our office before closure, we used to do morning briefs every day at 9. So now we get to do that at home, but then we make sure that it runs for like an hour, where everyone gets to tell what they've been up to, what is missing, what they should be, what help they need from the kind of assignment that they have. So like that's one of the examples when we were having a morning session. Some of them are a bit sleepy, but yes. We also do Zoom meetings for clients at times when they have to interact. Let's say you have a matter that we need to talk face to face, so we do that, and then they'll give instructions. Let's say if it's a registration of a trademark, or it's an inquiry into an acquisition matter, or things like that. But then we will encourage people to do like what we did. We had to update our website, which is informative to customers, to visitors, to people, to clients. And then we have done the ability to be able to do consultations via or online. We are also having phone and email and online chat. We have a website feature of which it's very easy to interact with clients. We do that on a normal day, exactly that. But before closure, we used to run it for half a day, or during like on weekends and on weekdays, it ran throughout the day. But as of now, we're just rolling out throughout. So it will be running for 24 hours. So like if let's say you have someone from China, and due to time differences, they can easily reach us and make an inquiry. So we have updated, we have sent, we'll put across stuff that people can read, and they'll actually tell them information about COVID and what is happening, because we're anticipating that after this, there's going to be a lot of legal assistance needed in terms of company and employees and whatnot. So we've done that. We have also done extensive use of social media, of which we encourage most law firms to do, especially in Tanzania. Right now, more people are stuck at home and they use their phones mostly. So we paid a close attention to that. For us, it's not just being able to bring in people, but we drive engagement. But we're not focusing more on business, but more on letting people know that this is possible. If you want help, we can help. So if you go down to ABC Attorneys, go to your phone, Twitter, LinkedIn, on Facebook, we're there. So yes, now that's the feature. That's the chat feature we have. You can see it on your left. We also talk about measures that we think that we think they are best to be done, that so that to have business continuity. We felt it best to do a bit of cost cutting. So by us working remotely, that was one of the ways. That means we're able to cut on transport and food and printing and electricity. So and we hope that our landlord, we can't rental payments down as well. So but we feel that is one of the things that most firms need to consider as you anticipate what recovery time you're going to have, and then how much you'll be able to save your businesses later. So what actions have we taken or which will be taken to look into in terms when an employee is diagnosed with corona. For us, their health is our priority. We have done cross training to our employees, so at least when one is not healthy, let's say as they're doing their recovery, there's someone else to take over. But then we are encouraging them to work remotely unless they have to go and meet a client, and then that will be very important for them to do so. But if they do so, they wear masks and all, because we provided that to them way back. What do you anticipate to be the biggest challenge for the firm in days ahead, as more people are nationwide contract virus, or if that? Well, that change is very important. We tried and stay ahead, but then there are challenges that we are getting. Let's say now we are having difficulty whereby you have a client who wanted to register a company, or who had a major acquisition deal that wanted to take place, and then now they're pulling out because they're not even sure what is going to happen. So we've been having that and trying to calm down our clients and trying to see on how we can mitigate that and making sure that if the fees were paid, how we move that to the next quarter and whatnot, and how we best advise to lengthen the deal. So logically, we feel that will have an effect, but not so much if you're well prepared. We tried, but we're still trying to find more ways to see on how we can. Let's say for us, when we're doing most of our for our IP practitioners, it's easy to file online because the system now is online for registration with BRELA in Tanzania. But then it's a bit tricky when it comes to innovations and whatnot. We feel like most people will be staying at home, so it's even harder for them to come up with new innovations in which we could help and assist. So technically, in conclusion, I see that if your firm survival in this downturn can be captured in simple formula, we'll say it's all about survival and being able to speed up in terms of what you are doing now, what you should be doing, and how you restructure in terms of your operations and getting and being able to cope with what is happening now. I would encourage people to invest in technology, cut and say expenses as takeaways, find new ways of getting our plans, and prepare a new business model and operation plan, of which for us we have done. But most importantly, I'll encourage people to have business continuity, have business continue after COVID. Look at what you're doing now and make sure that after this, you are able to survive. Thank you very much. That is my brief presentation. I will let Claverie take over from here, and then later, if you have any questions, you can just write them down, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much. Claverie, take over, please.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name is Claverie. My name is Claverie from ABC. I'm a corporate lawyer, and it is my pleasure being with you this evening, just trying to share a few things as business is concerned, and also as law business is concerned. Sorry for my connection. Okay, I was saying we are trying to share the few things about how the legal business is taking place, specifically in this tragic era of this pandemic disease, corona, and also in reference to this digital era. As ABC, as Mr. Sunday Mgoba presented before, our partner, that we managed to take these steps or measures even before the eruption of this disease. But apart from that, we also made some steps to make sure that the business continues, and also we take reasonable measures as far as the disease is concerned. So, welcome to my presentation. So, we have recently witnessed the outbreak of the pandemic corona, and it has also tempered the global business.
Kraber, if I could stop you, are you sharing with us your presentation?
Oh, does not appear here, sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, I hope you can see.
Yes, yes, we can see it now.
I was saying we are trying to see the measures we just somehow taken them before the happening of this disease, and also what are we anticipating after the end of this. So the corona eruption has caused many effects worldwide, but mostly in the global business community, as we have witnessed a lot of worldwide lockdowns, travel restrictions, global commercial transactions have been affected, tourism and various investment or business ventures. The same has affected Tanzania also, as we have seen that business are not as it was. Business is not as usual. So obvious profit realization will also be of that kind. So all these are in the view of, apart from the fact that the government took some reasonable measures to combat this or to face this, but also our office managed to do that in the view of saying, or of making sure that we as employees, we do not conduct that, but also we do not affect our business, or we do not tamper with the continuity of our business. And all these are in the view of reducing, in the view of reducing interactions between people, and that interaction, it is highly associated with the spread of the virus. So we saw, the first thing is to introduce is to work from home, as our management introduced that before this has gone further, we should make sure that we take reasonable measures like introducing the work from home issue. So what do we do in this work at home? We work at home in the view of reducing the possibility of physical interaction, and also making sure that the business continues as usual. As Mr. Sunday presented before, that we use online communications, like the use of online meeting, like also attending these various online programs. We do participate in various online seminars, like webinars, which expand not only our knowledges in our areas of practice, but also in other fields of business. It also taken us to stabilize the digital legal services. We have now managed to intensify the use of existing digital platform, as Mr. Sunday said, the having of pCloud, the having of Interlink ABC. So these include online updates of work and online services by the government agents and ministries. So there are various changes which the ministries, the not even and maybe if anticipated this, but more likely the same, they did some changes like online business of e-government. So, for example, you want to register your company, it is not as before. You have to be physically there in the authorities or government agents. You can do it while you're in the office. So if you can do it while you're in the office, then you can do it while you're home under the influence or help of technology. So the experience we've got from working remotely or areas away from the office. Working remotely at ABC has not been triggered by not only the outbreak, as we said before, but the nature of the economy right now. I'm referring to on-demand economy. With the few knowledge I have about on-demand economy, it's not as before. If you want service, you have to go somewhere, seek for it, ask for it, negotiate for it. The on-demand economy, the consumer is at home requesting the service. So it is not as before. It is not what you have. It is what people know about you. So it's all about marketing. It is all about being updated with what is going on. And one of these is updating our technological facilities. So as with the integration of the mobile apps and various digital sites, you know that it has made us to, either through smartphones or your laptops, or there have been developed various ways of working remotely and providing to our clients and make sure that we offer them best service. So, but also working remotely in Tanzania, it has been attributed by the introduction of these changes, like I referred back previously. The government agents like BRELA, TRA, like for now you can have your tax identification number from TRA by just logging in TRA website and feeding your credentials. So we have witnessed the various advantages in this few time working at home. So working remotely, firstly, it enhances better work-life balance. I mean, you have your work duties, you have your family matters, you have your personal issues to settle down. So having a lot of time in the office, so like having many hours in the office, many hours looking for transport, you can not easily manage or balance your work-life balance. I mean, for many business in the couple of decades, working remotely would have been nearly impossible, but technology has made it possible, as we said before. Hence, it allows us to balance our works and daily chores out the office, and has become the key, the feeling happier and productively at work. So being remote or far from home or far from office, or being home or being a place far from home, from office, it promotes employees' well-being. With limited number of trips, no lunch rush. You know the limitation as from this time up to this time you need to be taking your lunch 1 hour, or maybe you have a lot of overhead. So to balance those things while you're in the office, it was kind of hectic. So the ability to properly plan your schedule in. So like, how can I exercise? How can I plan my diet? How can I cook for what I want on whatever measures, and no long working hours in the office away from the family and friends. So working remotely improves the health and wellness of the employees, or us employees, by minimizing daily work stresses. And also it also enhances creativity and individual development. Having flexible time enough to attend your office's undertakings and plan for your personal endeavors gives a chance for us to perform our extracurricular endowments, talents, which we are blessed with. It also reduced the offices and personal expenses, like Mr. Sande said, and also it has encouraged competition. Like, you have to think, how can I survive in this situation? So like we said, you need to be online, you need to update your social platforms, so in order people to know. So the nature of the economy demands that. So it's not only they can know what you are doing, it's unless you are being referred. To be referred, you have to be there, have to see you, they have to know you daily and what you're doing. And the rapid, in concluding, but not the end of this, the rapid switch of the office workers to home or other remote areas has its challenges, which are important for organization or agents or any other entities to note, so as to enhance productivity and maintain employment relations. This challenge may be as underperformance by the employees, since there is no physical connection enough to monitor and manage them. So, if you have freedom, then you can likely to misuse it, and enough not to perform as it is desired. Hardship also in human resource management. It is difficult to manage various aspects of human resources like performance appraisal. You need to assess what should be added, what should not be added, what should be reduced, what way have you achieved. So the actual sense of being remote from where you are working and from the management of the human as a resource, it poses a difficult. So it's also difficult to manage stress. We know under human resource management there is also stress management. If you cannot see him or her, there is the likelihood of not knowing what is going on to him or her. But this may be neutralized by revising human resource and disaster management policies and plans enough to maintain productivity and employees to develop personal assessment habits. So thank you. It was my sincere pleasure to share with you this.
Thank you very much, Gregory.
Thank you.
Edwin, if you could jump in, and then we will take questions later on. Edwin, please, and then we will have Jamie.
Okay, thank you very much, Sunday. Thank you, first of all, for inviting us. My whole team should be listening now to this webinar to exchange ideas on how to continue doing business in this COVID era. First of all, KTA is a law firm that specializes in IP, intellectual property and technology. Clearly, we live, breathe, and feed on technology. If technology was not our business, we wouldn't be able to survive as KTA. Most or the biggest part of our clientele is actually e-commerce businesses. As you may know, Uganda thrives on when it comes to transport. We have the motorcycles, which are commonly called boda boda. One of the biggest businesses, e-commerce businesses we have, is an online motorbike public transporter called Safe Boda. These, you can actually order a boda or a motorcycle without necessarily looking for it on the street. From your office, you can be able to deliver anything within Kampala. We also have online sites, online businesses. The Jumia's, it's something that is thriving. So everything is already working online or remotely. That matters. These are some of our clients that we've learned from. But of course, based on that, we ourselves also decided to step up our office resources, get online, and start working remotely, just like our clients do. As you know, intellectual property is one such business that thrives. on the internet, we get instructions from as far as Dubai, London, South America. We execute and register without interaction whatsoever with either the agent, brand owner, or patent owner. So working remotely has been part of us, part of our business. And for me, I see COVID as a time, bad as it is, it's really a time now to open up and get our colleagues and everybody to discover the beauty of working remotely. Yeah? I believe this is the time now that tech lawyers and tech entrepreneurs should seize and be able to transact, trade using the internet resource that we have or working remotely. As you might have realized, Amazon share price has almost tripled. I believe the owners are now, the shareholders are now one of the richest people in the world within just 2-3 months. And that's simply because their business is e-commerce business. Everybody is at home. They can't move to buy the things they used to move to buy when there were no lockdowns. So I am very certain that this is an opportunity for anybody who is engaged in online business or can work remotely to save. But be that as it may, on our side as Uganda, we've had a few challenges in as much as we lawyers, some of us already working remotely. We do have a business continuity plan. Most of some of our clientele, mainly the corporate and some multinationals, when you're pitching for business and when you're signing them on, they always ask for business continuity plans. I try to be very brief so that we can have Jamie also share with us his experiences. So we've always had a business continuity plan in the event that you're unable, and uncertainty is it gets you incapacitated to work. Gets you to work outside your office. But I think what they've always anticipated is things like earthquakes, wars, a public health threat is something that our business continuity plan may not have provided for in many of our bids and what we've done. But we came up with something, and we're simply regurgitating what we've always done. We have a web-based application. We call it SmartCase. You can Google it and find it. There are service providers here in Uganda. What happens is we uploaded all our resources, files, the case law reports, forms and precedents, everything can be found online. And these can be accessed by any of our advocates, of course with security, from wherever they are. We've been using it for a long time. Sometimes some of our advocates travel outside the country, others go up country, the court lawyers between courts. So access to office, but in the nature of our business, cannot be a 24 or 12 hour business. We access the things on our phones and have been working that way. So when the lockdown was announced, first it was a partial lockdown, and clearly the guidelines from our Ministry of Health were that we should observe social distance and be able to avoid crowds. And that's exactly what our web app does. You can access it in your car, from your home. If you're outside the country, outside jurisdiction, is something that we've been doing very effectively. Zoom meetings like we are having right now, we've been doing it, though of recent Zoom has been unreliable. We have now moved to Microsoft Teams, yeah? But it's something that can also be made available on web-based apps. Web-based apps are really something that you use and it's customized for your law firm. So in as much as we have Zoom, Microsoft Teams, sometimes there are issues of confidentiality, there are issues of you need to keep every conversation you've had with your clients and some of your lawyers secret, and there's a lot of hacking and all this. So there are issues of cybersecurity when dealing with these apps. So I'd recommend the use of a web-based application customized for your particular use, like we're doing. And like I've said, it's we call it SmartCase. It's something that is available. So in our case, we have a complete lockdown. Public transport is curtailed. No crowds, no things like weddings, churches. Clearly, that limits an advocate's capacity to deliver the services that he has been doing traditionally. Our courts are closed, only open to emergency situations. But how are you going to file your pleadings? How are you going to interview your client? There's a lot of movement before some of these things are done. That is a disadvantage we have suffered in as much as we have prepared for it. Unfortunately, the government does not provide many services online. This also calls for, this also covers online filings for IP, company registration. It's something that is still a challenge. I know Tanzania and Kenya have been doing an amazing job delivering judgments and hearing cases on Zoom or video conferencing facilities. We're lacking it here. But on our side as KTA, we knew this would happen in as much as there's a program to digitize our court system. On our side, we have limited most of our work to advisory, and every other day, there's an opinion we're rendering to some of these clients. For the filings, yes, we can file online, but there are still challenges. Instructions, of course, have reduced drastically, but on our side, we do a lot of filings in Kenya, Tanzania, which are open. So in as much as business has closed here in Uganda, there's still a lot we can still do with our partners. Sunday here particularly, and another gentleman in Kenya. So we continue to do business. I see we're running out of time. In summary, being an IP and tech firm, interactions with our clients has enabled us to prepare for this period. Frankly speaking, it's an enjoyable challenge. In as much as the Encamery says, it has helped us test some of our resources, and I would advise any lawyer or any law firm to use digital resources, web-based applications, and work remotely. But of course, put more emphasis on corporate advisory, because that is where the business thrives for anybody who would want to work remotely. But most importantly, I believe, not just for any lawyer, the COVID lockdown period and the public health threats have, in a certain way, engineered creative thinking. Just like we know the story of Albert Einstein, they say he discovered so many things during the plague, with the plague outbreak. So when you sit home and think, or like the Romans did because of their success, they didn't have wars, not much to think about. They spent a lot of time thinking, yeah, and created a number of innovations. Were able to expand their empire to as many places as they wished, and polished their language, Latin, which is still spoken today. So when people sit back and have serious challenges like this, I believe it's an opportunity to innovate, come up with ideas. I'm very confident that in about after the lockdown period, so after this COVID period, we're going to see so many changes there will be a new normal, right? People will work remotely and have quite a number of innovations that we can be able to learn from. Lastly, Sunday, I would like to thank you very much for this opportunity. I'd wish to stop here and get to hear from Mr. Jamie.
Pleasure. Thank you very much, Edwin. It was quite insightful as well. All right, so Jamie, please, if you can take the floor.
Thank you, Sunday. Hello to everybody. Sunday invited me. We're a member of TAG Law, same as ABC, and we're located on the east coast of Canada, literally right on the ocean. In terms of our firm, we're primarily a business law firm, corporate law, and business litigation. We also have what we call a retail practice. And what we mean by a retail practice is we do a lot of legal work for individuals, such as family law, people getting divorced, adopting children. We do plaintiff personal injury, so car accidents and things like that, acting for individuals in those situations, and a little bit of criminal law. But our primary focus is business law and business litigation. In terms of the impact COVID is having on our firm, we certainly have seen revenue go down already. A lot of businesses are doing the same thing as probably all of us on this phone, watching their cash flow. And part of it is, I think as lawyers, we got to try and support our clients as best as possible. I saw Judith put in the chat, as lawyers, we need to look for the law in businesses and business in the law. And that's very true. It's going to take creative thinking to both help our clients, but also to get our clients through this. And then most importantly, when everyone is through this, to get business back up and running, because once there's a vaccine and once things are somewhat back to the new normal, it's still going to take a while for business to get back to where it was. So that is part of our planning. In Canada, in the last 2 months, the national unemployment rate has doubled. There are a lot of layoffs in Canada, that is people losing their jobs. As a law firm, we have always had the ability for all our lawyers to work remotely. We've had that in place for a long time. And as Edwin mentioned, we too have a lot of clients that require business continuity plans. They require that as part of their engagement with us. So they won't even retain us unless we can show that we have business continuity plans. So we've had those in place for quite some time. Canada is not in a full lockdown. Canada has, depending on each of the provinces, different measures in place. So the province we are in has emergency health measures in place, but not a full lockdown. I'm sitting in my office today, but our office is closed. It's been closed to the public and closed to our staff for over a month. We made that decision voluntarily. We were not forced to make that decision, but out of the making sure our staff was healthy and safe, we moved to full remote for all lawyers and our staff just over a month ago. We put in place that if anybody wanted to come work in the office, we have 3 floors in our building, 3 office floors. We only allow 5 people per floor to make sure that there's social distancing and everyone's safe and proper measures are in place. And basically you have to email our human resources the day before and say you want to come to the office, and you have to say why you're coming to the office. And depending on the numbers, as long as no more than 5 ask, then 5 can come. If there's more than 5, our human resources decides who has an urgent need. And then it's based on urgency who can have access. But that being said, we had, like I said, our lawyers always had full remote. It was actually very easy for us to give our staff full remote. We do not actually operate on a cloud-based system. I know that's unusual in the modern world, but when we invested in our IT infrastructure many years ago, our bar society, our legal society, would not allow you to store anything in the cloud because nobody knew exactly where the cloud was located, and we had strict rules on privacy and maintaining legal documents. So our system is actually rather complex from a tech perspective, but actually easy to get on. It's more of a cost on the hardware side of things, but we've already invested that. So it was quite easy to roll it out to our staff. We try to be close to paperless. So on our system, all precedents, communications, correspondence, you can search case law on our system. Everything can be done remotely. Even our firm's accounting is operating remotely. So it's been very smooth in terms of a transition. We too, like everybody else, are using both Zoom calls and MS Teams, but as well, a lot of phone calls, just normal phone calls. We have been encouraging all of our lawyers to reach out to our clients, not just to try and get legal work, but to touch base, because part of the cause of social distancing and self-isolating, people lose connections. And obviously as lawyers, we never want to lose connections with our clients, and we're somewhat forced to lose those connections. So we're encouraging all our lawyers to touch base with your regular clients, just to ask how they're doing, how they're getting through things, how is their business doing, to just maintain and keep up that relationship with the hopes that, of course, when we all get through this, the clients will appreciate that, and then we'll get business then as opposed to business now. Some areas of our business have been very steady. Our very basic corporate work, so a lot of employment law, because a lot of corporate clients are asking, what do we do with our clients? They are with their employees, sorry. And they ask, what are the rules around laying people off? What are the rules around severance for laying people off? And a lot of our rules have changed. Our federal government changed a lot of those rules over the last 6-7 weeks due to everything that's going on. We actually have had an increase in our real estate, because banks, of course, are giving loans at very, very, very low interest rates. So a lot of people are remortgaging their homes. A lot of businesses that are strong and financially successful are borrowing money, because it's a good time to borrow money if your cash flow is going to be maintained. Our court system is, it sounds very similar to Edwin's. It's operating on an essential services model, and they will only hear things that are truly urgent. And that goes for criminal courts, the commercial civil litigation courts, as well as family courts. We have 3 different levels in there, but all of them are only dealing with urgent matters. And it's become very frustrating for our litigation lawyers. They can't get a lot of work moving and a lot of work done. It's difficult to explain to clients that, look, there's really nothing we can do because the court won't treat your matter as urgent. So on the commercial, the business litigation side of things, it's somewhat almost ground to a halt and not really moving forwards. It's unfortunate because some other provinces in Canada are doing virtual hearings. Many are doing at least telephone hearings. It's frustrating where I am located, because there are times in non-COVID times, we do have telephone hearings. For whatever reason, they've even stopped those with this essential services model. And that's been effectively, nothing has happened in our courts for about 5 weeks. And it's caused a big concern with all our local lawyers, because of course, when things do get back up to normal, there's going to be a big backlog, and it seems to keep piling up. The Bar Society, we have little control and influence over the judges, and there have actually been meetings between the Bar Society and the judges to try and get things moving. As I sit here today, I don't know where that's going to end up, but there is a move on to try and open up the courts. Similar to what everyone else said, we push out a lot of social media to let our clients know that we're still operating, that we're here for them. We try and produce information in relation to especially employment law. We've put out a lot of stuff about family law, force majeure contract clauses, things that are relevant right now. We've really pushed those out as much as possible. Overall, we as a law firm, I can tell you, we did have to lay off some of our staff. Prior to all this breaking out, we had about 185 people in terms of lawyers and staff. When we went to full remote and anticipating that some of our client work was going to drop off, we had to, just like everybody else, our primary thing is to watch our cash flow. And part of watching our cash flow was to cut down on salaries where possible. We did that. Obviously, we stopped all lawyer travel. Can't travel basically anywhere outside of Canada anyway. Our marketing expenses, we stopped all those because we're envisioning this, at least in Canada, it's going to be months before things pick up again. Our federal government is talking towards the end of June, July 1st, for things to get back to normal. But right now, everybody knows that's just hopeful thinking. There are plans underway, I suspect, to try and get things moving. But from our own business planning, we're planning cash flow projection wise. We want to make sure, as we sit here today in April, that we're going to be just fine until September, October. And that's what we're looking at. We check our billings, our collection rate. We compare it to same time last year to see how much has dropped off. And then we just try and make sure that we're going to keep things going as far for as long as we can, expecting it not to get back to normal, because then if it gets back to normal, everyone's going to be fine. I don't know if there's a ton more to add. Part of our planning is how are we going to ramp up again? When are we going to rehire employees that we had to let go? We do have some social media plans already to advise clients that things are back to normal. We're looking forward to reopening our office and have a plan to advise all clients of that. And depending on what the social rules are, we would probably do an open house or something like that and invite clients to come to the office just to reconnect. So we're trying to think of plans like that, even though we don't even know when we're going to use those plans. But it's remarkable that listening to everyone on the call, things are very similar here to how they are there. And if people have questions, by all means, put them in the chat. I'll try and answer them. But other than that, I thank Sunday for the time.
All right, Jamie, thank you very much. I will allow questions. I will unmute for all to ask questions if there are any. But I had one question actually. How are your clients adjusting to this? I wanted to ask you and Edwin as well. How are they adjusting to this?
So, similar to anything in life, clients who have very good, well-run businesses seem to deal with this much better than clients who don't have any plans and really don't run the greatest businesses. Those people struggle with the changes. In terms of dealing with our clients, it's not been that big an issue because the way a lot of things operate here anyway you're often dealing on the phone anyway, or you're dealing through email. Sometimes you're even just dealing through text message. So that hasn't really changed. The interaction with clients hasn't changed. You know, what a lot of clients are struggling with is the same thing that our law firm is struggling with. They probably are questioning how much do they want to spend on legal advice at this point in time, because they don't know where their own business is going to end up, and nobody knows when the country's really going to reopen and be fully up and running. So it's why I had said earlier that I encourage a lot of our lawyers, just reach out to the clients, talk to them, ask them if they need anything, ask them how they're doing. And that doesn't result in necessarily us billing the client. It's just maintaining the relationship. Because one thing we want our lawyers to focus on is being at least an advisor to clients, you know, having the ability for clients to know they can reach out to us, and it doesn't result in a big legal bill necessarily. It's more important to maintain the relationship than it is worry about a few dollars here and there.
All right. Thank you. And Edwin?
Yeah, it's a similar situation. For those that we've been doing corporate advisory for, we continue to do it. Nothing much has changed, except for some of the e-commerce, those engaged in electronic commerce, trading online. They've found a few challenges that we also have ourselves have found, but find difficulty in solving. For example, they've already sold their first consumer goods online, things that people need to use every day. But because people are stuck at homes, there are certain essential things like pharmaceuticals. Yeah, this is a regulated business. Question is, how then do you start selling it without license? And can you be able to get it within the weeks, within the 2 or 3 weeks lockdown that the government has set? Those are some of the challenges. On the other hand, when you go to government, like I've told you, most of our services are not yet digitized. We have not got much solution from that, but those are some of the things we are looking at. There's also the challenge of things like alcohol. There's a lot of demand for it. I think some people are taking a holiday. You know, there's an increased demand for it. How do you advertise it with all the controls, anti-tobacco campaigns going on? You have to advertise, you have to market, you have to do getting a quick solution, you know, at times for such people is a problem. So regulated business, selling online, it has always been a challenge, but we needed to get a quick solution. The others, I mean, like financial institutions, recovery of debts, things that need timelines. You're looking at appeals people were served with. They confused on how to handle it. So have we frozen time? Yeah. Those are the challenges that we've had, and most of the clientele, because this is something unprecedented. Yeah, they're finding very serious challenges. They themselves had not prepared for something like this. But in the circumstances, we give the advice we can and the solutions that we can. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ivan, you had a question there. You had a question for Jamie? Ivan, are you on?
Sunday, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
No, I just had a question. I think you've always answered it for Jamie. It was about how the courts are adjusting. If you're saying that, for example, you told us that there were no virtual hearings happening yet, virtual hearings happening elsewhere. That's why I was saying that I was quite surprised that Canada and Uganda and the likes of Kenya are really the first. So anyway, but if you can also answer virtual hearings and whether any legislation has been passed by the state practice direction.
I can barely hear you. If I got you correctly, you were saying he had answered it already in terms of how are the courts adjusting to this in terms of online filing, if they're doing that as well. If that,
yeah, it was a little difficult to hear, but I think he was asking how our court's adjusting. So, as I mentioned, it's somewhat ironic because they used to do certain things by conference call, telephone conference call. Under their essential services model, they stopped doing those, which is not very productive. Our courts, where we're located in Nova Scotia, are very behind the times. They've only started accepting electronic filing as a result of COVID, so they did adjust in that sense. But you would think electronic filing should produce faster results, and it's become quite slow. You do not get very quick responses. I personally practice, everything I do is construction litigation, and I do it in multiple provinces. And in other provinces, they've adapted much better. Electronic filing is common in other provinces. Conference calls for procedural matters, very common in other provinces, and all those are still going on. There isn't specific legislation in any of the Canadian provinces, with the exception of Ontario, for virtual hearings. Ontario does have some legislation for very limited things, specific types of matters for virtual hearings. But where we are located, there's no legislation for virtual hearings.
Okay, thank you very much. Craig, you wanted to touch on Tanzania's question as far as courts are concerned?
Yeah, thank you again. I wanted to say that even in Tanzania, we have recently witnessed various changes as far as electronic filing of cases is concerned.
Can you speak up, please?
I was saying, even in Tanzania, we have recently witnessed the changes as far as online filing of cases or electronic filing is concerned by the amendment of various laws like the Civil Procedure Code, the Criminal Procedure Act, which requires electronic filing and updating of various electronic contacts like emails for clients or advocates who are representing them. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So I'll just put it to the floor. If there is anyone who has a question, you could pretty much ask, and then we could wrap this up in the next 10 minutes. Eh? If anyone has a question, they can unmute themselves and then ask a question. Or if you're having trouble, perhaps you could just send on the chat, and I will let you in if there is anything. Ask.
Hello, mine is for Edwin.
Okay, okay, please.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Edwin, can you project how long we're going to be in this around Kampala, or when business will normalize again for law firms, from what you're seeing and how government is handling? Thanks.
Okay. Well, I believe they give us up to 5th May for the lockdown period, but I'm certain that even after that, it will be very difficult for law firm business to pick up immediately. As you know, like any other business, we need to run on cash flows. These come in almost every other day, especially with the commercial and corporate work, where clients need fast execution of work, things like powers of attorney, affidavits, filings, IP, company registration. These have stalled for a month now. By the time we come out, I'm very certain instructions that were given and have not been completed will even be more expensive to execute. For most law firms, especially if they rely on litigation, it's going to be terrible. If time was frozen because of the lockdown period, it's going to be very, very difficult for any of us to catch up. That means you'd have to file for extension of time, something you had billed for previously that required just a WSD, a written statement of defense. You need extension of time because you're out. If it's an appeal with all the voluminous work, it's even worse. You've got to ask for more extension of time. How do you bill all this kind of work? Yet their clients themselves are also out of business. So it's going to be a squeeze, but I would think it's an opportunity now for any law firm to start focusing on corporate advisory and filings. It's also an opportunity for our government and some of the government departments. We work with company registry, the immigration, even to a certain extent, the courts. They should be able to digitize their system. As law societies, as lawyers, this is a lesson that we should be able to push our governments to have these services. Instead of working with such situations as a crisis, it becomes the normal course of doing business. Working virtually, filing online, and even executing our work without necessarily interacting with court staff and clients for the corporate and commercial. So my simple advice is, for litigation, it's going to be very, very bad business. But for corporate advisory and commercial, I would advise that this is a big opportunity for anyone to change the way they're doing things, and they'll probably recover if they focus on that. I can assure you, for e-commerce, if you put your time to it, there are quite many companies that have come up. There's a lot of legal advice they seek because they are operating in uncharted waters. They always find new challenges, and they need almost every other professional every other day. That's my simple advice.
All right.
Yes, back to you, Sunday.
All right. I think Isaiah, you had a question, eh? If there's anyone who has a question, simply unmute and ask. But as you are saying, Edwin, I think the situation is the same. As far as Tanzania is concerned, as far as lawyers in Tanzania are concerned, we have to change. We need to change. Everything is going digital. Everything is going probably not how we anticipated it would come or it would go. But then what we're looking at is in the next, 1 or 2 or 3 months, we have, the government has put measures in place, and so far they are working, but then we cannot be so sure as until, let's say, after some time has lapsed, let's say after a month or so, because as it's happening around the world, there is a curve that we have not reached yet. So we're not sure if we are going to reach to that, and when, and how soon the businesses are going to open. Some, let's say in Europe, are anticipating for them to open around September. Others are saying probably up to December. So it is prudent, and we must and have to adapt to technology. Things are going to change. The legal practice probably is going to change. For us, even it's tricky because as lawyers, we're not supposed to advertise. We could market ourselves. It's very tricky for us to be able to break even or to try and see how we can get new business. But now the world is changing. Everything is getting digital. Everything is going online. It is changing for us as well, because now we have virtual law firms and things like that. So it's for countries, let's say from in Africa, it's a bit tricky. And it's about that time when we have to adjust and see on how we can take on these challenges and help our clients in the best and most effective way. So I would say like what is happening in Uganda, it's happening here as well. Now, let's say courts, most of them are receiving filings via paper, or in some there we have gone digital as well. But then we are limiting people going into courtrooms unless it is your case. So you are a witness to that and stuff like that. So there are those things that are happening across the globe. They're happening here. In Uganda, you're in lockdown. We are not in lockdown yet, but those things are happening. So I'll end there. And if there is no one else who has a question, probably we'll just wrap it in the next 2 minutes and we'll close this.
Hello, guys.
Okay, go on.
Yes, my question was that we saw in Kenya where the High Court of Kenya issued an order to include the legal services or lawyers as an essential service in Kenya. So can't we in Uganda also push for that? And is there a prospect that court can also issue us the same order as that one?
Thank you. Edwin, can you jump in? Can you answer that?
Well, I can't anticipate court's decisions, but I think it's a bit different from Kenya's situation, because here we have public health regulations that have been passed on how these restrictions should be implemented. From what I've read, social distancing is a mandatory thing. It's something that the doctors have advised. We have been told courts, because of the nature of the business they do, they attract crowds. People have got to interact with court staff. It would endanger the health of those who are attending to the matters there. In my opinion, I mean, in as much as we provide essential services, like I've said, it doesn't have to be a litigation. You don't have to go to court. We as KTA, and as you have heard from Jamie from Canada, so is Sunday, you can work remotely. Clearly, in as much as they want us to provide, to be included among the list of essential services, we are already doing it. Or if I could put it this way, you can still provide your service as a lawyer without necessarily going to court and being listed as an essential service provider. This is very different from people like doctors who have got to treat you from a hospital, yeah, or traders who can sell their goods directly from the market. Remember, if you recall in law school, they would always tell you that a lawyer's trade is his word, skill, and knowledge. You don't have to do it from your chambers. You don't have to go to court. Just like we're doing here, we're exchanging knowledge amongst ourselves, over 40 participants across jurisdiction. I'm not in Jerusalem, but we're exchanging knowledge. So if that's what your client needs, all you need to do is have the digital resources within your law firm to be able to do that. We've been doing it for many years. Like I've told you, business for IP comes from agents and brand owners from London, Dubai, Kenya, Tanzania. We execute within 6 months. We scan and send the certificate. But all through that time, I've done it for thousands of trademark owners and agents. Some of them, or most of them, I've never met them. And we continue to do it. I believe this is an opportunity now for any lawyer to look at working remotely. I doubt that courts would be able to add us as essential services when there are clear regulations. It perhaps might have to be a constitutional petition that nullifies the constitutionality of those regulations. But we've done it the legal way. They are there. The only thing we can do is abide by them. If you want to be included as an essential service, then it's going to be difficult. But I don't think there's any need to when there are many innovations that can get you to provide that service without being listed. It's back to you, Sandy.
All right, thank you very much. We have run even over our time because we wanted this to last for like an hour and a half, but now we are 3 minutes beyond. I would like to thank you everyone for tuning in and for joining us. If you have any questions, for those who are in later, we had presented from Tanzania perspective. We'll send that across. We have your emails, so that you can have a read. If you want a recording, we can send that to you if you want to listen to it later on. But I would like to thank Jamie for taking the time, to thank Eddie and Clavery as well for your insight, information and observation. We have learned quite a lot of what is happening over there, and in relation to what we are doing here in terms of business continuity. But I think it's a good thing that at least there is a bit of uniformity in what is happening, despite having different jurisdictions. But we have learned that there are things that we can take on from Canada and see on how we can apply here. And there are things that I think probably you might have heard of, which could essentially be useful to you as well, and to Edwin as well. I thank you very much for taking the time, and Clavery. So I'll just give it to you if you have, let's say, anything to say. I'll start with Jamie, and then we can close this.
No, just thank you, Sunday. I appreciate it. I just put a message in the chat for everybody. Thank you all for listening to me, and I hope everyone stays healthy.
All right. Thank you very much. Edwin?
Yeah, for me, I would also like to thank you and Jamie and everybody from Tanzania for giving us this opportunity. And just to encourage, I'm aware that Tanzanian government has passed a law on e-government services to digitize most of the service. So any lawyer should be able to look at it and brace themselves an opportunity to work virtually. We no longer need to meet our clients or the businessmen. There's a great future. Look at COVID as an opportunity to change the way we do things and make them even better.
All right, thank you. And Clavery?
Oh, thank you, Mr. Sunday. I would like to thank again everybody who joined us. So, as a word of remark, so as many others said that we should be updated on what the technology needs us to do. So, being online, a lot of online transactions like e-commerce, e-government, online transactions have been vastly developed. So it is good for us to make sure that we run parallel with this. Thank you. I hope it's a nice beginning. Good evening and stay safe.
All right then. So thank you everyone for taking the time to join us in our webinar. Hopefully you can join us next time. We'll have a different topic on something that of which we feel will be beneficial to all of us. And Jamie, if need be next time, please, we might have to request you to join us again. Thank you very much for taking the time. Edwin as well. I thank you very much. I know you're on lockdown and whatnot, but then this is a good opportunity for you at least to speak and talk to other people as well. So that's a good thing. So thank you very much. I wish you all a good evening. Jamie, have a good morning. Thank you very much. Yeah?
Thank you all.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.